the median package during our batch was somewhere around 34-33 lakhs CTC.
Too many parties, like मैंने इतना parties life में कभी नहीं देखा है और शायद कभी देखूंगी भी नहीं जितना party मैंने MBA में देखा है.
In 2022, the kind of numbers I was hearing for campus placements were more than what I was making after 5 years of experience.
Some of the rooms were lake facing and some hostels were not so good because we were surrounded by lakes, so there would be, there were some boys hostels where there would be snakes coming in the room.
At what salary do you start? Like if someone joins as a senior associate, typical salary average range?
CTC would be around 40.
Around 35 CTC was.
Thank you, Avani. Thank you, Kavya. Thank you, Revant, for doing this, for taking out time for this. We'll talk about a lot of things, specifically your career, about making a career as a woman in management, and also specific about your campuses. But before that, if you can just briefly introduce yourself to the audience, starting with Avani.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Avani and I did my undergraduation from IIT Kanpur. And after that, I worked for about 2 years, 1 year with Citibank as an analyst. And then I wanted to work in a startup, so I worked with ShareChat. Around the same time, was also preparing for CAT and fortunately got an admit from IIM Calcutta. And that is where I joined when COVID came in. And there I interned with BCG, got a PPO, and then ended up joining BCG after my MBA. And post that, what is going on, we'll chat more about it.
Okay, got it. And Kavya, you?
Hi everyone, I'm Kavya. I did my undergrad from NIFT. Post that, I worked around a year in apparel manufacturing, and then I moved on to do my MBA from IIM Ahmedabad 2021 batch. During my IIM Ahmedabad journey, there I interned at Accenture Strategy in Consulting, and there moved on to join Accenture Strategy. Worked on few projects, worked there for more than a year, and then made a switch to Byju's. Currently, I'm working at a payments company.
Got it. And Revant, you?
Hey, hi, I'm Revant. So I'm from the IIM Indore 2017 batch. So I've actually done the integrated program from IIM Indore. So I was there from 2012 to 17. So in the last 8 years, I've explored a variety of roles and I'm finally in a project management role. So I manage growth and strategy in the GCC space.
Got it. Thank you so much. And let's start with the campuses because we have IIM Calcutta, Ahmedabad, and Indore. So let's start with the campuses and then we'll come to your specific journeys. Okay, so starting with the fees of the campus, fees and packages. IIM Calcutta, क्या होता है? Fees and package.
So fee is around 26, if I remember correctly, and
that was during your time. Or currently that's the fees.
I think 26, 28 around in my time. Currently, we'll have to check. And
median package.
And packages, we of course hear different statistics from different places, but I would say around 32, 33 is something that is a prominent.
Got it. Ahmedabad?
Ahmedabad, our fees in 2021 was 24 lakhs around. And currently, I think it's somewhere in the range of 30, not sure.
Yeah.
And the median package during our batch was somewhere around 34-33 lakhs CTC. And right now, I'm not aware of
it's
that.
Almost
currently,
the same.
Yeah.
Same almost.
Okay.
And Indore. So you are from 2017 batch. So that's like...
So while I was there, I think for the 15-17, the 2-year MBA program, the fees was about 16 or so. And that was also close to the median package around then. And last I've checked, I think the fees is somewhere around 24. Possibly it's gotten higher. But one thing I definitely want to comment is I think that the pace of the salaries rising has kept up with the increase in fees. It was something that bothered me, but I realized it's kind of okay because in 2022, the kind of numbers I was hearing for campus placements were more than what I was making after 5 years of experience, I wanted to go back and ask for a second campus placement.
Got it. So, from IIM Calcutta, what are the most sought after roles, especially during campus placements?
So IIM Calcutta has historically been known as the finance campus, right? A lot of finance enthusiasts and a lot of finance companies coming for different finance roles. But now what we are seeing is that there's a lot of consulting demand that has come up, and even in the consulting sector, there's a lot of demand for people. There's a lot of and enthusiasm for people to join consulting at IIM Calcutta as well, and then product management roles, which have also taken up significant in IIMs. So those kind of roles are also sought after. But apart from that, finance, marketing, sales, general management, these are the roles which have always been there.
Got it. And any specific companies जो एकदम dream companies होती हैं IIM Calcutta में?
So I think MBBs are one of the most glamorized
MBBs, if
kind
someone
of
doesn't know,
dream
then
company.
McKinsey, BCG and Bain.
Yeah. So they are some of the sought after companies. Other than that, Microsoft for product management, or Google if it comes.
Yeah.
And for finance, maybe JPMC or
anything in investment
anything
banking,
any big role in investment banking, biggest package that you can get. So,
yeah. I think same for Ahmedabad. Anything different?
Not really. It's the same. Consulting is the most sought after profile, then finance. Product management was a big thing which we could see our batchmates
in our year,
preparing for. Although the placement numbers would be lesser, but people had a lot of enthusiasm towards product management as well.
Right. And Indore?
Yeah, I think the trend is now trending similar to what both Avani and Kavya share. But one other thing is definitely sales and marketing roles, especially at large FMCG companies. That's always been a big draw at IIM Indore.
Okay. And I think HR roles as well in case of IIM Indore, because we don't see a lot of HR roles in Calcutta and Ahmedabad campuses.
So IIM Indore has in fact started a separate 2-year HR program in 2017. I think the first batch graduated in 2019. So yeah, I think they are addressing that market demand for
HR roles as well. Okay. So अब campus के बारे में थोड़ा बात करें. Like typically going to the campus, the culture and everything. Obviously the positive things, not too controversial things that we want to discuss over here.
मेरी तरफ देख के बोला तुमने controversial.
Calcutta वालों targeting you.
पहले ही controversy में.
No, I'm like speaking to everyone. So not specifically
C for
you.
Calcutta.
But we'll start with you. obviously.
Controversy.
He is targeting on Calcutta.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll obviously speak about the positive things and obviously certain things that you want to touch about. Maybe the negative things as well, which are a bit less controversial.
Let's start with Ahmedabad this time.
Yes.
We don't have controversy. I
The
know.
top IIM, no?
Okay, let's start with that.
No, we had in our batch the year we hosted that inter IIM ABCL
That happens every year. That happens every
we
year.
hosted it that year, na? तो वहाँ उस time पे there was a lot of
Calcutta.
controversy
IIM
that
Calcutta
happened.
is the one which creates a lot of controversy.
I'm from the COVID batch. I've not seen a single Sangharsh. I went to do MBA to play sports and I've not played a single Sangharsh. So like that's the biggest Sangharsh of my MBA.
Okay, चलो specific things के बारे में बात करते हैं. Room facilities. Starting with क्या? Ahmedabad.
Okay, Ahmedabad में room facilities there are two very different kind of rooms available, right? One is in the old campus, the other one would be in the new campus. So if you talk about the new campus rooms, it's more like a hotel room. It's pretty nice. You have your own washrooms and you have very good space and everything.
AC भी रहता है.
हाँ, I mean, you have AC, correct. You have AC.
I think up to
you have a
old
very good
campus
storage
almost,
space and everything.
हाँ, I think अब old campuses almost सारे campuses बंद हो गए हैं. And अब जितने भी I think रहेंगे rooms, everyone will have attached washroom and everyone will have this AC at least.
But I think old campus ka feel was, that feel that you used to get when you used to get it. I live personally in the old dorms and I had an option to move to the new dorm in the second year, but I didn't because, sare class
No
dorm
one
mates
does
were there.
actually because that's the red brick campus that you see and that's the old campus and the new campus is entirely different. Probably you won't see that over pictures on Google or anywhere.
Yeah, you have such huge, window sort spaces.
Yeah,
in the
I've
building.
been there.
It's
My
pretty-
friend used to
pretty
study
great.
there, so I had gone to visit.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, but I think now it's almost redundant. No one will be getting any room in the old campus. Everything is in the new campus. In fact, for me as well, when I was there, I had an option to switch to better rooms like attached washroom. I was in the new campus, but we happened to stay there itself because you kind of have that camaraderie. You form that network in dorm, so you don't like really switch. So yeah, that's about Ahmedabad. Calcutta, how is it?
So Calcutta has 4 hostels and 2 of them are co-ed hostels and One is one of the most sought after hostel is the Lakeview Hostel, which is the new, very beautiful structure that has been made, which is there in all the IIM Calcutta pictures. I personally was not a fan of it. I always liked old hostel because it has the hostel wala feeling, and like what you were saying about the
The
old
vibe of
hostel,
it,
the vibe.
yeah.
It has a very hostel life kind of a vibe. It was close to the sports facilities and everything. So for me, it was just right in front of the lake, so I could just walk out and go and just So that was there, and we had balconies in our room, which was and some of the rooms were lake facing, and some hostels were not so good because we were surrounded by lakes. So there would be there were some boys hostels where there would be snakes coming in the rooms at times
okay.
because of the lake. And they would have one front door, one back door also. So all these kind of different things were there. And one hostel which is the most probably hated what I have seen is the new hostel which was there, which was very like closed kind of hostel. So it was not a livable situation there.
Okay.
So anyone who would get that would just, they're doomed
Curses
if
luck.
they, yeah.
Yeah, and so do you have like attached washrooms?
We don't
or
have
AC?
attached washrooms. No, we don't have attached washrooms. Our WhatsApp groups used to have this, what is this in washroom, who puked in the washroom and everything.
Oh wow.
Okay, and
Washing machine is not working on this
I
floor.
feel like saying mere zamane pe this used to happen over mail chains, okay? Not everyone had, I think smartphones were around, but WhatsApp groups had like
Yeah.
limits of really small
Yeah.
number of members.
Yeah.
So we used to do this on mail chains with 500 people.
yeah,
Over email.
and AC?
No AC. Full
That's a-
humidity of Calcutta, humidity
That's
plus
very
the
difficult.
lakes around you, no AC.
That's difficult
Yeah,
then,
we used to
because
live with
Calcutta
those
weather.
table fans. Yeah, Calcutta weather is the humidity is crazy. You
Yeah,
will
it
go
is.
mad.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. I
no
think,
ACs.
Yeah, I think AC would have made it easy, but Indore, coming to Indore, how is it?
Yeah,
Have you recently visited the campus?
I
Last
think last I was on campus was maybe in 2019, probably not after that.
Okay.
But from when I remember, they had started building some new hostels. And yeah, separate men and women's hostels. We didn't have co-ed hostels. I don't know if we do now. But from what I've heard, the new hostels are really nice and they have like balconies and attached washrooms. Our hostels at the time didn't. But I think that similar vibe, the old part of campus versus the new part of campus.
Right. And food? कैसा mess food कैसा था? Calcutta का?
Yeah, I feel it was good because my standard was my IIT ka
IIT
food.
stage, yeah. Anyone who's gone from IIT to IIT?
Yeah, तो food wise तो it is a huge upgrade जो IIM में food मिलता था. तो I would not mind. Plus canteens और इधर उधर IIM Calcutta में तो मोहनदा है.
Right.
तो
Right.
we
I
would
think
not need-
that's the reason. Like anyone who has come from engineering to IIM would be feeling, yeah, mess food is
mess,
really
what
good.
is the problem with the mess food? But still, a lot of people used to still sign out of mess
Yeah.
because it was an effort to manage to go every day in the morning and everything. So, but
And
yeah.
the one?
So, just for a brief context, I was a day scholar in my undergrad. So, I didn't really have the hostel experience, okay? And Ahmedabad was the first hostel experience for me. So, it was, the food wise, food was decent. It was good only. But personally, from personal experiences, I didn't really like
Your
it.
reference is home cooked food.
Yeah,
na?
so that's why. So, I didn't really like it. But it was decent. It was food was food like.
Yeah, that's why I think in IIM campuses you will have this two distinct groups. One is like, "Arey, ye kya food hai?" And then there's this group that, "Arey, ye kya food hai?"
Yeah.
Two different
Yeah, yeah,
expressions
that's
for
true.
the same
That's true.
food.
That's
And in your case, I'm Indore.
Yeah, I'm in
It should be
Indore.
good.
I'm in Indore had really good food. I
Yeah.
think Indore as a city is just known for its
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
We have like a cow gully on campus as well.
Khawgali was the best part at Ahmedabad, jo apna,
Yeah,
that-
those
those outings that we used to do. Not exactly Khawgali, it was called something else, I think. But
Manik
Manik
Chowk.
Chowk.
Manik Chowk,
Manik
yeah.
Chowk in Ahmedabad, yeah.
Finally, I think the Sarafa and Chappan, all the most popular outlets from there,
Indore.
have set up one on
Yeah.
campus. Like there's a cow gully on
Yeah,
campus now.
nice.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it.
Okay.
I would
and,
like to visit.
Culture कैसा था? Like in terms of academic stress and competitiveness?
See, competitive तो होता ही है. अब my perspective is going to be very different from a general batch क्योंकि I studied in the COVID era, right, where classes used to be online. A significant time we were not on campus also. So a lot of things were very different for us. But yes, at the end of the day, competitive to hota hai. But I've always, I always heard, even before joining IIM, I was like, I had heard that, Calcutta is a little bit more chill compared to, say, A or B, and people are more collaborative and all. But still, competitive hota hai. And it's very individualistic, right? Some people are very like pro RG kind of people. Some people are very helping others and सबको साथ
A
में
lot of
लेकर
people would
चलने
not
वाले
understand the
people.
reference.
RG, yeah.
RG reference, a lot of people would not understand.
RG is relative grading. You were going to
In
explain RG.
official sense, it's relative grading,
Relative
but
grading.
it's the term
But
is
the
used.
term in the
It's used in a negative
significance with which
manner.
you were putting it out,
Okay.
there would be some
Should I
people who would be
explain
RG.
RG?
Yeah.
हाँ, एक बार बता दो, नहीं पता audience को.
So basically RG we refer to is relative, it's relative grading, right? So imagine a scenario that you are doing a course and there's a relative grading setup. So your friend is competing with you for a good grade, right? So they will not want to help you. They will want to do कि I will do my own thing एकदम चुपके से everything perfectly and not share it with others क्योंकि I am in a competition with all these people. So that is basically relative grading कि सामने वाला अगर अच्छा कर ले तुमसे और तुम उसकी हेल्प कर दो तो तुम्हारा भी ग्रेड इफेक्ट होगा.
Right, and it's said in a negative connotation.
Said it in a negative
Yeah.
connotation. कि कुछ लोग बहुत प्रो RG टाइप होते हैं कि वो बिल्कुल ही नहीं हेल्प करेंगे या शेयर करेंगे या कभी कभी झूठ भी बता देंगे. तो वो सब चीज़ें तो होती हैं. मतलब इट्स कंपेटिटिव ना. अल्टीमेटली एवरीवन हैज़ invested such a huge amount of money and everyone wants a good placement out of it. But other than that, culture wise it was, I would say it was too many parties. Like मैंने इतना parties life में कभी नहीं देखा है और शायद कभी देखूंगी भी नहीं जितना पार्टी मैंने MBA में देखा है.
Got it. And IIT में था क्या ये RG-ness?
हाँ, IIT में भी होता है RG. वहाँ पे भी क्योंकि कोर्सेज में relative grading होता था. तो कुछ कोर्सेज होता था वह प्रोफेसर्स वही क्लियर कि नहीं नॉर्मल
But
जो
IIM के
हमारा
level पे
बेल
नहीं
कर्व
होता.
होता है वैसे ही ग्रेडिंग होता था. तो इट वाज वेरी मतलब इट वाज क्लियर कि इतने लोगों को. बट आई फील वहाँ पर योर स्टूडेंट्स, योर यंग, यू आर योर फ्रेंड्स. तो पीपल आर, सम पीपल माइट बी वेरी प्रो RG बट मोर और लेस पीपल आर कोलैबोरेटिव, पीपल आर हेल्पफुल
Got
कंपेयर्ड टू MBA.
Yeah, I think IIT में ये भी होता है ना कि अच्छा ठीक है इसके बाद भी कुछ कर सकते हैं. MBA is like अच्छा अब तो मुझे placement ही चाहिए, job ही चाहिए.
MBA is more
ज़्यादा-
competitive, more high pressure in terms of people have come from different backgrounds and people have different circumstances, different conditions. So they are like, imagine people who were earning 15,000 rupees before joining MBA, right? Versus somebody IIT में, people know
Not
that
earning
once I
anything.
leave from here I'm going to earn a certain amount of money, right? So people are not like, in terms of placements they are not so cutthroat like it is in IIMs.
Yeah, IIM Ahmedabad I think similar होता होगा experience.
Ahmedabad में I think there was one very critical factor जो which was the experienced versus freshers का ratio. I think that was in our batch we were only I think 30% experienced people.
Oh.
And I think what experienced people bring in is that they tend to take things a bit much cooler in a cooler sense where they would not really be that pro RG or something of that sort. So I think that was a major difference, I think, which versus Bangalore or IIM Calcutta is, if I talk about it.
But I think it will also depend on the mix of the people, right?
Yeah.
Like you have like all IIM Ahmedabad criteria has all
Exactly.
like toppers coming in.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they are
IIM Calcutta is different
by
in that
nature
sense.
very,
Yeah,
very
very
competitive,
competitive,
right?
yes.
So IIM Calcutta people are coming like, I always used to look at it in a way that people who have failed, people who have done something,
Wrong in
gadbad,
10th, 12th.
something gadbad, they have not
Graduation
10th,
again.
12th, but
Graduation.
in graduation, some gadbad they have done. Even they have 6 pointers, 7 pointers, all these kind of people are also there because they don't give as much importance to that part as
Right.
IIM Ahmedabad
Yeah,
does.
exactly. And I think
So people in general are chill,
yeah.
that way. So
And
I think that
in that
will also
sense,
impact.
actually, Ahmedabad is more close to like Indore because Indore as well,
Indore,
it's
yeah.
like
No, it's
toppers.
very clear, 999. Like,
Yeah, you
like,
have to
yeah.
10, 12, you have to be like really
So
good.
that would
Cats go
also
whatever you do. 10, 12 graduation, at least 10, 12 you have to be like really good for IIM Indore.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's possible.
Here at IIM Calcutta, you are like, क्या
Cat
what is
में
the
चाहिए.
worst that will happen? मतलब I've seen it. Now I'm here to मैं अपने पाप
Right.
धोने के लिए आया हूँ.
I think that culture is also different in your first year versus your second year. Matlab, first year it was way more competitive, I think,
Right.
and people were way less collaborative. Whereas in second year, I saw a lot of people coming in and shedding off their vices and that RG and everything. So yeah.
And what was the gender ratio IIM Calcutta ka when you were there?
So we had about 33% I think, girls in our batch.
And the
Which is
हमारे time पे I think it was 20%.
Oh.
for Ahmedabad.
Ahmedabad, yes.
It is strange because okay, Calcutta also has diversity, but I think Ahmedabad में कम है gender diversity. First round में
it
there is
was
no
less.
gender diversity.
Abhi currently it's somewhere around 30%, but हमारे time पे it was 20%.
In your case,
My batch had 40% women. My junior batch had 50% women.
Wow.
right? Because you have diversity points for more
They
diversity points than
experimented with it, I think, during our junior batch, possibly with our batch also.
Yeah, because if you look at, I think IIM Rohtak, that had I think 19 general male engineers. That's just 19 general male engineers. The rest of them were women. So definitely in terms of diversity, they are doing like really good.
Really
It's like
They need
kind
to
of this-
meet
Yeah,
the demands from employers, to
Yeah.
to hire diverse talent.
Right, that makes sense. I think IIM Ahmedabad and then Calcutta had some diversity, and Indore definitely has some.
Calcutta had like 5 points.
Yeah.
Even
Even
5
Ahmedabad
points.
had
5
5
points.
points.
Same 5 points.
It's,
Ahmedabad also
Ahmedabad-
has.
5 points for
Ahmedabad
women.
has in the second round, I
right.
guess, right?
No,
In the
first
first round
round.
itself.
Yeah, 5
Indore
points
has the
for
same
women. They
extra
had it.
additional
Yeah,
5
for the
points.
composite score.
I think what makes a difference is I think women have better 10th, 12th percentages than men. And I am Indore takes those into account.
Possibly. So coming to your respective journeys now, like okay, we talked about campus and stuff, but coming to your respective journeys, consulting first. Why did you join consulting, and then why did you happen to leave it?
So I never thought that I would end up in consulting, or I never had that aspiration. But when I went into MBA, I went in with a very open mind because ultimately I knew that I wanted to do something entrepreneurial. I thought I'll meet some like-minded folks in MBA, we'll start something, but that didn't pan out. So one is of course you're getting an opportunity to get into firms like MBB, right? That also plays a huge factor in terms of you making a choice. So getting that opportunity and going in with an open mind, and then thinking that it will open doors for you and it will give you exposure to different sectors and different industries, right? Because you don't have any strict trajectory that you've thought for yourself. So that way I thought consulting would be a good area for me to experiment, and of course the brand value that firms like BCG would carry for me will also help me in the longer run, even when I decide to take a risk later in my career. So that is how I
And
ended.
why did you leave that?
So the same thing, that I always wanted to do something entrepreneurial, wanted to always start something of my own, just felt like it was the right time for me to leave in terms of, not wanting to settle down in what I was doing at that point in time, the age factor, the factor of also that I didn't see myself staying there for a very long time. So I wanted to, spend more time doing what I want to do. So that is why I decided to take that leap and then left after about 2 years.
Got it. And Kavya, why did you decide to leave consulting?
So I left consulting because consulting I was not really enjoying myself. It was, first of all, it was a COVID COVID year where I was when I had joined Accenture, and during that time it was all work from home setup, right? And very limited client exposure is something that I was getting at that point. And in addition to that, I think one major factor was I have been a person who has been hands-on with the job. I like being operationally working on things. So thinking of it from a very high-level perspective and not really seeing the implementation bit. So I think that's the reason why I did not enjoy that. So I left consulting. at
Got
that
it.
point.
And in your case, like you have had obviously different fields. You started with an HR field. I think you did that for a year or so, and then moved to strategy, growth, and strategy roles. So what exactly has been your thinking?
Oh, so I think just enjoying a lot of diverse things, a lot of different things. Plus, I think I've had a lot of mentors at different points who have managed to guide my career while I was figuring things out. For the longest time, I think my job role was just doing anything that either nobody else wants to do or nobody else can do, Revant will do. For a long time, that was my job role,
Got it.
yeah.
And consulting, we talk about, obviously, it's much sought after job after MBA. Most of the campuses, I think, including Indore, Ahmedabad, Calcutta, everyone has most of the jobs in consulting domain. However, obviously, there's a talk about the work life as well. So how has it been the experience for you in BCG?
So I think work life in consulting, you cannot define it in a sentence, right? Because it is very much dependent on different factors, right? From the client that you're working with to the leadership that you're working with, to the people in your team, to the module within that project that you're working on. So everything, all these different factors will play a role in deciding how your day-to-day life, how your work-life balance is going to look like. Do you have to travel every week? Do you have to travel? How many cities do you have to travel to every week? So there are a lot of roles into play. So each person that you would talk to about consulting will definitely give you a very different answer, which comes from their own journey and
Right.
the kind of projects that they have worked on, the kind of people they have worked with. So if I have to talk about my experience, I have worked on I've worked on projects where I had to travel to 4 places in a week, take 4 flights in a week. I have worked on projects where I was in the same city for a period of 7 months. So I think overall it's about, I figured that I didn't want to travel a lot. So I decided to take up projects in my own city. Like, I don't want all those points and this and that. I just want my routine, because it's very hectic and my health was suffering. So health is also something which takes a toll in a consulting job, because work hours are not defined. Some days you might be getting little light work. Some days you will get overworked like anything, and you might even forget to eat or not even get time to eat. So it's very, very sporadic in terms of how a day would look like. This is my personal experience, right? And it might be different for someone else.
Got it. And Kavya, for you at Accenture?
Anand, I think Accenture mein work life was given a lot of priority, as in your manager won't disturb you on the weekends. They'll give you do have to work when you're on a critical project. You do have to, like, 10 to 12 hours or something that you put in. But I think that's the general thing. I've worked across different profiles in different sectors. I've worked in fintech, I've worked in edtech, and consulting as well. But I think that aspect is common. Work-life balance, it's not really consulting or any industry dependent. Instead, I think it's more employer dependent.
Right. And talking about specific career path in consulting, if I talk about BCG specifically, so what's the career trajectory? How does the career trajectory look for someone who joins right after MBA?
So right after MBA, you would be joining as a senior associate. 2 years as a senior associate, SA1, SA2. Then you get promoted to consultant. You spend 2 years as a consultant, which is C1, C2. Then you take up a managerial role, which is a project leader role, PL, which is more commonly referred to as. And there again, you spend about 2 years, PL1, PL2, and then you become principal, which again, couple of years as a principal, and then you become partner finally. So this is how the trajectory looks like. And again, from partner you spend some years as a partner, and then you become a managing director partner, which is like a senior partner parallel.
Got it.
So that is how the trajectory looks like.
And at what salary do you start? Like, if someone joins as a senior associate, typical salary, average range?
So average range, typical salary, CTC would be around 40-ish around.
Okay. And like in a few years, how much can you expect to make?
So you can expect that once you enter a managerial role, say after 4-5 years, you would probably be making close to 2.5x of what you were making when you joined in.
Okay, got it. And Accenture mein, like, what is the trajectory like?
Accenture mein, you start at analyst level, and then you spend 2 years as an analyst, 2.5 years actually, and then you move to a consultant level. Post that, you go for manager, senior manager, and then you would become a partner. Yeah.
Got it. And typical starting salary?
Around 35 CDC was that
Yeah.
at our time.
Yeah. So maybe the caveat is that obviously from the top IIMs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And coming to you specifically on the IPM part, because there are a lot of aspirants who keep asking me about IPM, what exactly this is. So if you can give a little bit details about the course, because when you did this course, I think it was still in its very nascent
very
stages.
new, yeah. I'm
Which
from
batch you were a part of?
I'm from the second batch. So the course,
second batch.
yeah, the first batch was 2011-16. I'm from the 12th.
Okay, so if you can just explain what exactly is it and what made you join it.
Yeah. So I think honestly, one of the things that made me join the IPM program was curiosity. And of course, the person whose brainchild this is, Dr. Ravi Krishnan. I don't know if he was still a professor at IIM Ahmedabad when you were there. Because so he was the director of IIM Indore at that point. Eventually moved back to IIM Ahmedabad. Many years before that, he was my father's professor at IIM Ahmedabad. He kind of thought about this whole thing. Basically, the whole thing looked interesting. I was curious. I had no idea what to do after 12th. So I ended up there. And I think what you say about people having a lot of questions about the course was very true. I hope it is less true now. Because while I was there, when I was in my maybe first, second, third, even fourth year, I have actually given out my number and spoken to so many parents who were apprehensive about sending their kids in. So when I joined this program, there was really no clarity on what happens after the first 3 years. It was always supposed to be an integrated program, but there was no clarity. Okay, once you finish the first 3 years, how does the MBA portion of it look like? It was only when the one batch which was senior to me finished their third year. After that, IIM Indore kind of made the decision, okay, let's go ahead and merge these people with the incoming PGP batch, the flagship program.
Okay, so at the time that you were joining, you had no clarity.
No
what
idea.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's why at that time I understood my parents were very, very skeptical.
Okay, this is new.
Yeah.
And the people when you got merged with the incoming batch, so it's exactly the same program.
It's exactly the same program.
You're sitting with the same students.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, within ourselves, because we've seen the same 100 faces for the last 3 years, we know, but for a batch of 400 coming in new, this is just another 100 people. You don't see them separately. It's just a batch of 550 instead.
Understood. So this is interesting because I didn't know, like at the time of joining, you didn't know that. Because now everyone at least has this clarity. 3 years of BBA, 2 years of MBA.
And in fact, now they've structured it really well. I think, so now after you finish the first 3 years, you actually have 3 options. You can continue and, complete the 2 years and complete that MBA. Right. Then you have an option to take a work ex break for 2 years. You go out, work in the industry for 2 years and then come back and do the PGP program at IIM Indore. The third option is you can actually leave with that undergrad degree and give CAT and apply to any of the other IIMs as a fresh aspirant. So that's an option too. I think a lot of these options became possible when the IIM bill was passed in 2017. So up until then, all of the IIMs were registered under the Societies Act of individual states, which meant they could only give out diplomas. So like my batch and my one senior batch, I don't have a graduation degree technically. Like I have a diploma for completing the 5 years. Yeah. But from the junior batch onwards, in fact, they have 2 separate degrees. One is for the graduation bit, which is a foundation in management degree. And then they have the MBA degree, which is the exact same degree going to anyone who's, joining for the PGP or after giving CAT.
And because you create content on LinkedIn as well, specifically there on the content side of things, because I think as a content creator, I know like you can get a hate from anywhere in this world. Like literally, it's a lot of hate that you can get. Yeah. So specifically, obviously, I'm not talking about the general hate which everyone gets as part of a content creation job. But specifically, gender specific, have you received anything in the content space?
Gender specific, people often positive be negative, like positive मैं क्या बोल रही हूँ, it is not positive, it's just my way of backhanded kind of. Sometimes I'm very strongly opinionated person in general, right? So थोड़ा difficult हो जाता है लोगों को digest करना ना कि अरे ये लड़की कैसे इतना वैसे बोल रही है, तो I come off as that person. तो लोग बोलते हैं अरे what is she, कभी मैंने किसी incident के बारे में लिख दिया, कभी कुछ बोल दिया, तो उस पे लोग चालू हो जाते हैं. And then I'm like ठीक है, मतलब I can't talk to each and every person, but that is what you expect, right? Ki people will have views across the spectrum, people will have opinions across the spectrum, so I've learned to detach myself from it. But once in a while kuch aisa aa jata hai, if you put a picture once in a while, right, people are like you should be in Bollywood, you should, I'm like please give me contacts if you have. I respond and I move on. I'm like what is, and fake accounts are writing all of this nonsense.
On LinkedIn as well.
On LinkedIn they are writing.
Okay. So imagine the effort that they're putting. Making a fake account just to come and comment on your
some fake
profile.
Accounts ki, if this is not important, then why are you writing shit here? Fake account. I'm like, bro, come from your real ID, then I'll have a conversation with you.
And on LinkedIn, you keep writing about some toxic work environment or maybe some toxic manager that you have had an experience with. Like, are those real stories?
They are very real stories. I know sometimes people comment on it saying ki, oh, this is a made up story because I have never seen it happening. But it is a real story.
कोई एक example क्या हुआ?
So I'll talk about a recent post that I made, which is I think one of the most viral manager stories for my account. It had like 1 million impressions. So my manager asked our team to, create a leave tracker, because whenever we would want to take a leave, we would go to him and say ki, we want to take a leave on this day. So he said that no, I don't have any time to keep up with all of this. You put everything in the tracker. I've made the tracker for a reason. So we said okay, we'll put it in the tracker. So then Raksha Bandhan ka leave dalna tha. So we had put it in the tracker for me and another teammate of mine. We put it in the tracker, and then रक्षा बंधन के 1 या 2 दिन पहले we were discussing कि हाँ हम तो नहीं हैं and all that. तो he's like क्यों नहीं हो रक्षा बंधन? Because we've put a leave, we are on leave, we've taken a leave. He's like मुझे तो तुमने बताया ही नहीं. And I'm like आपको बताने आए थे तो आपने बोला है ट्रैकर में डालो. तो then he said कि मेरे पास टाइम है क्या ट्रैकर देखने का? So then we were like, bro, what do you expect? And then we both had to cancel our leave and be there. And I was like,
I've seen this happen. I've seen this happen around me also. So
this, I've written a post about this. I written कि I have a lot of Gajni 3 ka plots if anyone wants to remake. So,
probably the managers who might be reading this, probably the managers who might be reading this would not be so happy, would now get reminded, oh, I had asked for this leave tracker. Now probably they will remember.
Yeah.
But it's good to see you like sharing those stories, because obviously it has to come out.
Imagine how many people are able to relate with it. Like 7,000, they were like, it went viral in a day. There were like 7,000 likes. There were
definitely.
like 1 million impressions, which is crazy. Imagine how many people are able to relate and then writing their own stories.
Yeah, this is very common.
It's a very common thing in the corporate setup for people to go through these things, right?
Yeah, and how many times it would happen that a manager tells you, okay, this is very urgent, has to come out. After 7 days, you talk to them.
That also, like, I've not seen
the file.
I've cancelled my plans. That also I've shared. I've cancelled my plans. Okay. I've done the work, and then tomorrow I ask him, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't get time to see it. I'll see it."
Yeah,
later.
Even after 7 days, I think this is pretty common in consulting. I think it's pretty common in consulting.
In consulting, see, there is one rule: everything is priority one. Everything is urgent. Everything is needed yesterday.
Yeah, right.
So, but I think it's not just consulting, and even in my role, abhi currently, it's a strategy role, but in all my roles in strategy domain, it's on priority, it's needed right now. Abhi वैसे ही रहता है. It's not really different.
So thank you so much everyone for doing this. I think we have discussed about IIM life and obviously women in management, which was the purpose of this particular podcast as well. So thank you for taking out time, Avani, Kavya and Revant. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much for having us. I had a great
Thank
great
you for having
conversation.
us. Yeah.
Thank you.